Hey guys, this is Ben with Swift English. So today we're going to talk about TOEFL listening detail questions. So these questions are kind of similar to those TOEFL reading factual questions, and I call both of them detail factual in general because they're pretty much the same. Anyway, so when you take the TOEFL listening, obviously you're going to have conversation and lecture passages. So you're going to be listening the entire time and taking notes on conversations as well as lectures. So we're going to look at what detailed questions are like and what you should know about them and how to go about solving them. Okay. So once you finished the conversation or the lecture, the questions are going to appear one by one. There'll be a timer and you have to go through each one of them. So here we have an example of a detailed question. So step one, obviously read the question and identify the keywords, kind of like we did in TOEFL reading with the factual question. So what's not a keyword, but it does tell me that it's a detailed question. Problem is a keyword. Is the student having? Student's a keyword, and obviously having, right? Experiencing. So now step two, immediately you're gonna go to your notes. Try not to do this from memory, guys. Sometimes you might remember what the exact or specific problem was, but in some cases it's kind of tricky and you might guess the wrong answer. So don't do that. We want to be 100% sure. So we come to our notes and we already discussed how to take your notes. Again, it's like a back and forth zigzag motion, right? So since the question was asking about student, not like the manager or maintenance person, the other person, right? You want to just focus on the column that's referring to student. Okay, so like here my S is on my right side, so I have to pay attention to this side of my notes, not the part that has the M. Okay, so I'm scrolling down. It's something about problem. Okay, so take summer classes, put me in Robert's dormitory. It's next to the library or something like that. So guess painting they're painting the library or something on the outside building. Da da da. So when you get good at this, you're just gonna skim through it really quick, and you want to find just that section of your notes that refers to the problem. And yes, they explicitly mention it, but they kind of usually paraphrase it too. So just look out for that. So I don't actually see the word problem, but I do see a word that's related to a problem. So really disturbing for us, okay? This was really disturbing for us with the windows facing the library. Okay, there you go. And maybe just read the rest of the information since this was all kind of in one spot, just to get a little bit more context, guys, just to be on the safe side. So they're working on the wall right opposite of us, and like there's dust everywhere and it's entering, the windows and there's noise. Okay, I got it. So it won't take too long, guys. Sometimes it can take as little as 5 seconds just to go, obviously through this entire thing. And now when you come back here, you want to see something that matches that disturbance. His dormitory is in need of repairs. No, that's not quite what I read in my notes. They didn't say anything about repairs, so with this keyword here, I know that this is not the right answer. It doesn't make any sense. Choice B, he does not have summer housing. That's not what I read according to my notes, so this doesn't make sense either. So don't overthink it, guys. Usually the wrong answers just don't make sense, are not mentioned, or they take information from your notes and they just state it incorrectly, okay? So he is bothered, he is disturbed, right? It's synonymous, by construction on campus. Yeah, he mentioned that how like there's dust entering their windows, right? And there's a lot of noise. So yeah, he's bothered, he's disturbed by the construction. And there you go. You would pick C. That would be the right answer and you would move on. If you want to be on the safe side, you could check D really quick. Obviously, that's not the answer. It has nothing to do with library. So yeah, and then move on. Let's take a look at another one. Okay, so this one is basically from a lecture this time, not a conversation. So according to the professor, what makes Life in the Iron Mills by Rebecca Harding Davis notable? Okay, so again, What was step one? Identify your keywords. So these are your content words like life, okay, Iron Mills, and Rebecca Harding Davis. So, okay, now Life in the Iron Mills actually is the name of her work, okay? So this, in this case, it's like a book or novel. And Rebecca Harding Davis is the writer, the author of this book, clearly. And they want to know, why is this notable? If you don't know what this word means, basically they mean like, why is it important? All right. So yeah, that what gives it away that this is a detailed question too, so you know. Now you want to come to your notes. So these are my lecture notes for this topic, US Literature class. So, okay, remember like in the previous session, I was referring to creating your little sections, because lectures are a little bit harder and you need to be a little bit patient with them and be able to really scan and find the section that covers this information, that covers that question. So realism, literature technique, literary technique, popular US, da da da. Now I remembered from the audio, from the lecture, that this took place way later in the professor's lecture. Okay, so, and I remember I had an actual section related to writers. So when they mention a writer or a famous person, you want to find that section of your notes that actually contains that information. So this paragraph is like about background information related to realism. It can't be there. This paragraph here is about like social changes related to realism, like the scientific method, rational philosophy, da da da. This here again goes into the social change in a little bit more detail. And here they talk a little bit more about social change again. And here they kind of vaguely mention something about realist writers, okay? But I remember it came much later on. And here they introduced like a concept called verisimilitude. And it talks about things that seem to be true or real, but I know it's not here. So you come back to the top of your column. You might have 2 columns, you might have 3. Depends how long that lecture is and how much notes you're taking. Okay. So events, things led to, okay, it's not there. It's not narrator's objectivity. I know it's not, because I'm looking for writers. Okay, so here, eventually, you come like to this section, let's say, who were the key players? Ah, yeah, I remember this. Like, who were the figures who had the most impact on realism? So here, I remember I wrote Rebecca Harding Davis and Mark Twain. And I kind of abbreviated parts of them because this is the first time I'm encountering them, and you should maybe write some of it out too. But then like when you hear them the second time, like in the case of Rebecca Harding Davis, that's a really long name. There's a first name, a middle name, and a surname. So you could just write RHD. Okay, from this point on, I know this is referring to her. Okay, so now you want to go line by line really quick to see what they had to say about her work, right? Her book. So she was an author and journalist. Okay, that's not it. Concerned about all kinds of social changes. So she wrote about marginal groups like women, Native Americans. And if you thought this is immigration, you'll be able to correct yourself. Oh, I see people, women, Native Americans. This has to be immigrants. So you'll get used to it. Don't worry. In the beginning, you're going to struggle with reading your notes. But over time, you're going to be an expert. So she's best known, she's well known for her book, a novella, Life in the Iron Mills. Well, there you go. Now you know you're in the right spot, because this book, this work of hers, was mentioned in the question. And we were searching for it. So now here, if you took good notes, guys, so when they say, like, when they use adjectives like important, relevant, essential, try to write them. Even other kinds of adjectives, okay? Colors or numbers, anything. So here I have key text. Well, for those of you who do know what key means, obviously this is not the key to open your door. That's a noun. Here, this key obviously is referring to, it's synonymous with the word important, okay? The word significant. So this important text, because it was, okay. So yeah, they said this was a key text because it was one of her original, it was one of the original works of realism, actually. So I see. So this line here helped me realize why it's significant. So okay, her book, Life in the Iron Mills, was one of the was one of the original works of realism. That's what they're trying to say here. And if you're nervous, you could just read this part really quick because it's part of the same section, just in case there's any other important details here. No, there isn't. Now you're going to answer it. Okay, so it is unlike her other works. That's not why they said it was important, right? The keyword here is notable. That's not what they said. It led to many changes throughout society. Okay, guys, be careful, be careful. There was something about changes throughout society, but did they say this book, Life in the Iron Mills, did this cause changes throughout society? Let's come back. I just want to show you. I already know the answer, obviously, but so when you're reading, you want to be really careful. So here, they said Rebecca Harding Davis, RHD, she was concerned. She was worried about all kinds of social changes taking place in society. Remember these changes? And she talked about marginal groups. Those groups were discriminated, like women, Native Americans, immigrants. So they're taking some information from the text and distorting it. So that's not, this book didn't do that. They just mentioned the author was worried about these changes, not that her book led to these changes. No. Choice C, it was one of the first examples of realist literature. Yes, because they said it was an original work of realist literature. So original has the same meaning as first here, okay? And that's it. You would pick C and move on. Now, if you wanted to check D really quick, influence the more famous works of Mark Twain, that's not what was mentioned there at all. So there you go, guys. This was the detailed questions for TOEFL listening. I hope you liked this one. It was a quick one. We're going to look at inference questions next. See you in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. See you.